All right, good afternoon, guys. These are going to be your examples for today's lesson, which was actually not in the book, but it's called Properties of Integer Exponents. So what I'm going to do today is go through each property and tell you what they do and then give you a couple examples of each. So when we have product of powers, it says when multiplying the bases, you're going to add the exponents. So some examples would be if I had z to the 5th times z cubed, I get z to the 8th because 5 plus 3 is 8. 4 squared times 4 gives me 4 to the 3rd power. Remembering that when there is no power, we assume there's a 1. And then when you have a number to a power, you can actually solve that out. So 4 cubed is 64. Obviously with with a variable, we just have to leave it. Okay, power of a power. When raising power to a power, you multiply the exponents. So if I have r to the 6th to the 3rd, I get r to the 18th. If I have 4x to the 7th squared, with this, it's kind of like distributing. Okay, it has to go to both the 4 and the x. So I have 4 squared x to the 14th, which is 16x to the 14th. Okay, and then negative 3 squared cubed, which is negative 3 to the 6th, which is 729. Okay. We have the 0 power. So when raising a base to the 0 power, the result is always 1. So if I have w to the 0 power, my answer is 1. And then we'll have problems like 8 times 9 to the 0 power. And when we do this, you have to do the exponents first. So 9 to the 0 power is 1. So that's 8 times 1 is 8. The next one is negative exponent. So when raising a base to a negative exponent, use the reciprocal of the base and make the exponent positive. So if I have 5 to the negative 2nd, the reciprocal is 1 over 5 and then squared, and 5 squared is 25, so it's 1 over 25. 4/5 to the negative 2nd power, I need to use the reciprocal, and then they're each going to be to the positive 2nd. So I have 5 squared over 4 squared, which is 25 over 16. If you can simplify fractions, of course, we're always making sure we simplify. Okay, the next one is quotient of powers. So when dividing bases, you subtract the exponents. And you always want to subtract where they're going to be positive, because we cannot have a negative exponent in an answer. So if I have k to the 10th over k to the 6th, I would bring those to the top of the fraction because it's going to be positive, because 10 minus 6 is positive 4. So I have k to the 4th. Another one would be g to the 10th over g to the 12th. On this one, I'm going to bring the g to the 10th down and subtract on the bottom so that it stays positive. When I do that, I can't just get rid of the fraction, so I'm going to put a 1 above it, and that's g squared. Is 12 minus 10 is 2. One more. Negative 3 to the 5th over negative 3 squared. I'm going to bring it to the top. So I get negative 3 cubed, which is, oops, negative 27. Okay. And the last one we have for today is power of a quotient. So when raising a quotient to a power, raise both the numerator and denominator to the power. So x to the 4th over 5 squared. So this is going to be x to the 8th over 5 to the 4th. And we can simplify 5 to the 4th. So we have x to the 8th over 625. And then, so 2/3 to the 3rd power would be 2 to the 3rd over 3 to the 3rd. 2 to the 3rd is 8. 3 to the 3rd is 27. Okay, I have one more, and technically it could be a negative, but I'm going to put it on the bottom because it's a little bit different. When you have x to the 9th, y to the negative 5th. Okay, this answer is not in simplest form. Again, I said just a couple minutes ago that any negative exponent means that your answer is not in simplest form. To change the sign on an exponent, all you have to do is change its position in the fraction. So if it's in the numerator, bring it to the denominator. If it's in the denominator, you bring it to the numerator. On a whole number, obviously, it's a fraction over 1. So these are in the numerator. So to simplify this, I would say that this is x to the 9th over y to the positive 5th. Okay, we leave the x to the 9th alone because it was positive to begin with. Your homework can be found in a link on my homepage. So please feel free to print that out and do it if you need. It's the worksheet about properties of integer exponents. Have a great day.